We are now on. It's the I don't know how many workshops we've done this semester. A lot. So this week we've got uh, a Roblox guru who will be talking about Roblox today, and I am going to actually go to the Home Depot and purchase an apricot tree right now. So I will be back by 5, and we have a hard deadline at 5. So take it away. You got the floor until then. All right.
All right, sounds good.
Cool.
Sai, your local Roblox guru. All right. So, if you guys have questions at like any point in time, you guys can just ask, and I'll try to answer. So, for those of you guys who don't know what Roblox is, it's essentially a game platform that facilitates developers to make the games that they want to make in an easy to use engine, and also provides an audience for that set game. So, I'm actually really excited to present Roblox because I've been on this platform for, I don't know, what is it, like 10 years now, and I've been developing for most of that time. And a lot of people seem to think it's just a site for kids, and that's not entirely true. I mean, in large part, it is a site for kids. There's a lot of people who are kids on this platform, and a lot of games on the front page here are marketed towards kids. But there's a lot more substance to Roblox than just kid games. And Roblox is actually a really large company, so figuring out how to develop on Roblox could actually be beneficial for you because like the possibility of earning money on the site is actually really high. So, fun fact for those of you guys who invest, Roblox actually released their third quarterly report a few days ago, and their revenue actually doubled. So, Roblox is a company that's going somewhere, and if you have the motivation to make a game on the site, you could probably make something for yourself. So, exactly, Roblox strip. So, what exactly can you do on the site? So, once you have an account, as a player, you can, of course, play games. Everything on this front page you see here is everything what Roblox deems as popular. So, you can see the game, thumbnail, how many players it has, all that sort of stuff. And you can see that these games are marketed towards different types of interests, so to speak. You've got this furry game right here. You've got some ninja games, all that jazz. So, past playing games, you can customize your avatar. So, your avatar is pretty much going to be universal through all the games that you play, and only a select few games will prevent you from actually using your Roblox avatar. So, if you wanted to customize your avatar with maybe these wings, you could purchase it and equip it, and it would be on your character forever until you unequipped it and stuff. You could see how it looks in your avatar. Oh yeah, fabulous. And have a 3D view even. So it's honestly pretty good. Past that, you've got Roblox Groups as one of the more primary gameplay aspects of it. And I'd like to split up groups in two different categories. And groups are typically defined by if they're a roleplay group or if they're just a fan club group. So I'm more associated with the roleplay aspect of Roblox, which is also the kind of the older side of Roblox, since a lot of it is marketed towards kids. And I'll get to my group later, but groups are really important because they allow you to generate the revenue within that group. So if you have multiple developers on your team, here let's take a look. If you have multiple developers on your team, you can have the revenue be generated in your group, and then you can pay out to your developers as like flat percentages or just in different amounts here. So that's why it's important. Um, and the last part, that's pretty much a primary gameplay aspect of Roblox, is developing. And this is where I'm going to be focusing most of my time on. So, Roblox facilitates you by Roblox Studio, and that's pretty much where you're going to be doing most of your development. You can use programs like Blender and other modeling programs if you wanted to, but to me, Studio is pretty much the easiest to use. So Developing on Roblox is a lot of work because there's a lot of different components to it. It's not just like building or things, but it's always worth the effort in the end of my for all the games that I developed. So first thing when you get into Studio, you're gonna see this flat base plate. On your right is the typical things. You've got your workspace with everything in it, your lighting. These things have to do with scripting, so I'll get to that later. I'm not really a scripter myself, so I'm pretty much just going to be touching on these lightly. You've got your service storage where your scripts will be accessing like different parts. So if you've got an economy script or something similar, you'll be storing your weapons in here, all that jazz. Your script can draw from that storage. You've got your UI, so if you wanted to add like a health bar to it, that's not the Roblox health bar, you can add that over here. And the starter pack are just like items that players typically start with. Since it's mainly geared towards kids, no. The programs don't have to be kid friendly. There are actually a lot of gory games in Roblox and a lot of not so friendly. Like obviously you can't have anything not safe for work on this platform, but the games don't necessarily have to be oriented towards kids. All right, so what I primarily do on Roblox is building. I mean, I kind of do mostly everything actually, but I consider myself to be mostly a builder. So to build on Roblox, it's actually pretty easy. You've got your typical part things here. You can move the part here. You can resize it, rotate it, whatever you want to do. And you can also see the properties tab here. So you can change the color of the brick that you've got. You can change the material. You can change the reflectance and transparency. And the other thing that you're going to want to look at is the size of it, because you don't want the size of your part to be kind of weird and wacky. So if I were to build just like a basic house or something, it'd be pretty simple. Pretty much what you're going to want to do is resize it. You can use hotkeys to do this, so building can actually be quite fast on it, on Roblox. Resize it, copy it again, rotate it, boom, boom, boom. Have a little box for your house, you can get a doorway, and then there are different parts in Roblox, so if you want to do a wedged roof, you can insert a part there, and boom, you pretty much have a house. And if you wanted to play test it, you'd go to here, which is testing, and just play test it. See? Got your little avatar. See, since it's unanchored, it fell, so you're gonna have to anchor all the parts, otherwise you can move them and interact with them with your character in the actual game. So that's pretty much it for building. So I like to split building and modeling up into two different categories, even though they're pretty much both building, because modeling is typically done in a software like Blender, and I don't model. But modeling would be typically used for things like swords and weapons, because these curves are a little bit harder to get in something like Studio, and it's much easier to make in a program like Blender. So pretty much you make the tool in Blender, and then you import them to Roblox Studio using this. So here you can see all my OBJ files and everything that I've imported from my game. And it's a pretty simple process, just import it to Roblox and then color it here. You can also texture things, but I'm not really into texturing, so yeah. So past things like that, another component of developing games is visual effects. So if you're going to have anything like magic or hit effects or anything like that, you're going to, how do you keep the poly count down? With Blender, I'm not really experienced, but pretty much you just have to model in a way where you have less triangles, I guess, and you gotta go less detailed. So like these things are really low poly because they're less detailed, even though they have ruffles. Things like that. But anyways, visual effects, you're gonna have to learn this if you want something like magic in your game. So here I have a basic sort of magic arrow. You have your cast effect, which would be kind of just a quick effect that would be limited by a script. and you have your projectile. So it would go like that. Obviously, this wouldn't be here. But visual effects is definitely important if your game is going to be oriented towards that. Since the games that I develop on is a fantasy-oriented game, I needed to learn visual effects if I didn't want to pay $100,000 for an artist to make it for me. Is it possible to upload your own model? It is if you make it in Blender or anything. You can also upload these models to Roblox itself, and you could open source it to the Roblox community, things like that. Another component rather of Roblox games is animation. So if you're gonna have things like sword swings or drinking animations, you're going to need to animate it. And Roblox is actually really nice because it provides a platform to animate. So here in plugins, you're gonna be able to see the animation editor in the top left. You just select your dummy and you can animate something like a simple wave. So here, kind of made this in a second. You can animate a wave. Things like swords are going to be a little bit more complex because you have to have the whole body move with it to make it look, natural or anything like that. A lot of developers that I've worked with animate in Blender because Blender is just easier to, get that fluidity to it. All right, lastly, we have scripting, and I'm gonna go to my game to show you components of scripting because I'm not really a scripter. So this is my fantasy game. As you can see, we've got a large fantasy town here. We've got terrain, we've got a village here. And so within this game of mine, we have, inventory systems, weapons. We don't have magic quite yet, but we're working on that. And so, as you can see here, server storage is actually filled up. So the economy script, or the inventory script rather, is going to be drawing what you have equipped from this storage. So if you've got an armor equipped, it's going to find the armor in here and then weld it to your Roblox character. So here are the scripts. There's 3 different types of scripts, I believe. There's just a normal script, which is a server triggered script, I suppose. So we'll look at this one. This is an age limit. So when players join, it'll check if their account is older than 7 days, and if it's not, then they'll kick them. So that's what this script does. So another script is player scripts. So something like this. So this is things that are just on the client side of things. So if you have a player script that opens a door, or rather a local script that opens a door, my bad, it'll just open the door for that player, not for the entire server. So that only that player can pass through a door, so to speak. And then we have a module script. So these are the weapons. These are tools. They can go in your inventory and players can interact with them. And module scripts are useful because you can pretty much just have it as a settings tool, and things will just get data from the module scripts. So as you can see here, we have the walk speed of the weapon, the damage, the slash, and the lunge, all the other gimmicks. And you can see it's pretty much just a settings page. So your other scripts can draw data from this script to determine what it should do, pretty much. So if we're going to look into the game itself, we'll play. Hold on, it's kind of a large game. So this is my Roblox character. So right now, I've got an in-game armor equipped, which can be displayed in the inventory tab right here. These are all the icons for it, and that brings me to the next section of development, which is graphic design. Graphic design is really important because if you have any icon work, anything beyond just a simple menu, you're going to need to have icons for it. And so all my items have icons for them. My game has an icon as well. Here, let's go to it. You're gonna need a thumbnail, an icon. And if you want to advertise your game, you're also going to have an ad design for it as well. So if we take a look at this, click on that, boom, we're at their game as well. Here are all their graphic stuff. So you can see in this game, you can click on the icon, boom, and it'll equip you with whatever armor you've got equipped. So, fine. Anyways, yeah. Probably the last section of development that I think is important to cover is clothing. So all of the Roblox kind of items and apparel are player developed. So everything that I'm wearing right now was developed by developers who worked for me. So this armor, or this clothing rather, was designed by players. And you can pretty much make clothing in programs like, I don't know, Photoshop or Paint.net, I guess. You'll have templates like this. And so clothing is also a way to generate revenue on Roblox as well, because you can sell this for cheap prices, typically like 5 to 10 Robux. And after Roblox takes the tax, you'll get all the profit from people buying your shirts. All right, so after all that, there are still a few gimmicks to Studio and producing a game. Depending on what platform you want to orient your game to, you're going to have to account for different platforms playing your game. So if people are on a phone, you have to make sure your UI can fit phone, and you actually have to make sure that your scripts work for it too as well. If your scripts, like, if you want to have like a block for your sword, but it's a keyboard press, then obviously people who are on a phone won't be able to block. So you're going to have to account for that as well if you want your game to accommodate multiple platforms. So, early in my Roblox development career, I struggled with finding scripters because I don't script myself, and scripting is probably the most important thing to a game because pretty much anyone can build something super simple, but not everyone can script. And without scripts, your game is just a dull showcase to most of the time. But Roblox also provides a platform for that as well, which is the Roblox Developer Forum. So here you can pretty much find people to, I don't know, recruit for your development team or game. You can also get help and feedback if you're having scripting issues. Oh, by the way, I don't think I mentioned this, but the script is in Lua, which is pretty similar to Python thing. It's really easy to read, at least. Anyways, you can get a lot of support here on the developer forum, and you can recruit people. So, if it'll load, here we can see a lot of portfolios here. You can see a UI designer, got a scripter, got a builder, modeler, builder, stuff like that. Here, let's take a look at the builder for Hot. So here, you can see about me, you can see the things that he's built. So clearly he models in Blender because these shapes aren't really what you'd make in Studio. You can see his availability and his payment. So if you wanted to hire him to make a map, you can assume it would probably be fairly expensive on this Robux range, at least. So I've actually found several developers through the forum, and I'm currently working with like 3 to 4 developers who model for me and script, and who I basically just pay them and they give me a product. 1K Robux in USD is $10 if you were to buy it. The Robux to USD rate is a little bit different, which is basically what developers use to turn the Robux into USD, which is the only actual value. So, moving on. Now that you have like kind of a basic understanding of how to develop a game, how exactly do you make money from this game? Oh yeah, the rate is definitely harsh. It's like 1K for $3 or something like that. So Roblox provides you a lot of tools to get revenue and track revenue in your game. So if we look at my game right now, you can see that it has several game passes here. And game passes are pretty much one-time purchases of currency, for the Robux, I mean, to get them something in-game. So if we look here, you can see you can buy the Dark Knight armor for 550 Robux or Golden armor for 3k. And these are just types of game passes that you can have. You actually get a 70% percentage. So Roblox takes 30% of the Robux that you earn as like a tax. And so out of this 3k, I'm only going to be getting 2100 from a sale from this. And on top of that, DevX is 100k Robux for 350 USD. So it's even smaller. So past that, there are developer products, which are pretty much multiple time purchases. So like currency purchases, things like that would be developer products, and that can generate revenue. So the page I'm on right now is probably the best page to see your game statistics. So here you can see your visits per hourly, daily, monthly, stuff like that. You can see your visits by age, so you can see what age group. Okay, so they don't pay USD for these things, they pay Robux, which is significantly less than what you'd actually get. So assuming they pay the 3,000 Robux for the golden armor, you get 2,100 of it. And of that 2,100, that's essentially worth roughly $7 in actual USD if you were to convert it through the developer exchange. So here I'll just tab over to the developer exchange real quick. Here you can see that the rate is 100,000 Robux for 350 USD. So pretty much if you were to buy this Robux, it'd cost you $1,000. But to exchange it into USD, it's only 350. So it's really, really small. But this page is really helpful for determining what your target group is, what the audience you're actually attracting is, and stuff like that. And the last area where you can actually earn Robux is actually just by having people play your game. So Roblox has this thing called premium payouts, and basically Roblox gives you Robux for people just playing your game if they have premium. So here you can see the premium payouts that my game has had in the last, 2 months. So you can see here peaks at random intervals. Honestly, the algorithm for this is so messed up. Like these spikes, they actually don't really correspond to any spikes in the actual visits. Like there are only small spikes here, but if you see this, like it spikes at the 16th and it doesn't spike here. It actually drops, I think. So the correlation between visits and like what you're getting from payouts is kind of like really weird. I'm honestly not sure. So if we go to my group, we can actually track what everything is being sold. So revenue, here's the sale of goods in the past day. Here's the pending Robux. So, okay, on top of you only getting like 70% of the Robux and the bad exchange rate, Roblox pretty much holds onto your Robux for 3 days after the payment has like processed. So you don't actually get to use those funds until like a week or two later, because those funds will stay like pending. I don't even know why. I'm assuming it's for security reason of sort. But if you look here, you can see that my game has received 66,000 Robux in just premium payouts. So this is what Roblox has given me. Actually, fun fact. So Roblox had an outage like a week ago, and it was down for like 4 days or something. But Roblox actually like contacted developers, and they compensated your game for the lost earning. I don't know how they calculated it, but that was pretty nice. So, yeah. I think that's about it for the basics of developing on Roblox, I think. I don't really have all that much else. I can go into detail into like building or anything if you guys would like, because I primarily build. everything in this game right here has pretty much been built by me, except for like the armors and weapons, along with terrain. For this particular project, when we released the map, it was a lot smaller, and that took me roughly like 2 months worth of me just binging League of Legends to design the game and build it. I'm pretty much just solo builder, so yeah. I can't really program, so I work with other people to program. My developer team consists of me and a programmer, and everyone else I pretty much just outsource from people like the developer forum. Yeah, so if we wanted to look at my game a little bit more in detail, I can visit it here. So as you can see, there's 40 people on. We can see statistics here. It's created, last updated, stuff like that. Yeah, Roblox has a long way. I'm kind of scared for the animated faces and things. They actually just released voice chat, and that's kind of just weird in general. So here on my screen, I have a menu, which was scripted and designed, I guess. We've got a server select. That's sketchy. Hold on. So here you can see the servers that are in. And you can shut them down as a developer if you wanted to like restart the server to update. Hold on. So for larger worlds, you're going to be splitting up your game into like multiple different places. So each place wouldn't like it would all be a part of the same game, but they'd be different worlds, so to speak. So larger player servers tend to lag. So you're going to want to split up your game into like multiple sections if you have like a large world. Yeah, voice chat is definitely going to be interesting. So the main appeal of this game is pretty much role playing and combat, I suppose. So here we have a total kill leaderboard. We can see how many kills people have, stuff like that. You can also, as a developer, you can pre-camera, I guess. You can see all the players interacting, people getting clapped on the bridge. Do I go through some sort of loading when jumping from one section to another? Yes. So if you are going to be splitting your game up into multiple places, so to speak, you will like leave that server and join another. And so you're gonna have to load into that game. And depending on how many parts are in that game, it'll be a long or short load time. Yeah. Does Roblox have LOD? I'm not so sure what that is. Level of detail? Oh. Are there any questions like regarding like map development or anything? I think most of you guys are like programmers, so I'm kind of sad that I can't really give you much more detail on the programming aspect of things. Okay, so the union negate tool. So Roblox does provide for something that is similar to like Blender modeling. and it's called solid modeling by Roblox. And honestly, I don't really like it because unioning ends up pretty much increasing the triangle count. So if you wanted to like make a negative space here so that it had a slope, you could union this. So pretty much you'd go here, you'd negate, and then you union it with the main part, and it would look like this. And it's a fun tool if you can't really use anything else. But if you can afford to, it'd be better for you to just make this out of parts, so like this, than using the union tool because of the triangle counts. So this would be better performance-wise for your system than this union part because of how it is. Like, union parts carry a lot of data that normal parts don't have, which is why they tend to lag. Can I show the triangle count? No. Roblox doesn't have a triangle count specifically, so you can only see that when you're using Blender or something. You can see a part count, however, if you like push a script to your... Hold on, let me... You can see a part count if you run like a script. Hold on, here. So here, I ran that script, it just checks for everything in the workspace and checks if it's a part. And you can see in my game, there's around 170,000 parts, which is kind of on the high side, but the game still runs pretty well, so I'm not too disappointed about it. Here, I'll show you some things that I've had modeled. Hold on, it's fun. Good. So this is an armor that I had modeled for the game. You can actually see the triangle count in Blender, if I can remember where it is. I can't remember where it is. I don't either. Aha, here it is. So you can see this has 13,000 triangles, which is kind of on the higher side of things. I believe Roblox is frame rate capped at 60 FPS, and there are some programs that you can use to uncap that. Yeah, so the rates for an armor like this would probably be around 30 USD, which is actually pretty cheap. Like, if it was hourly, I'm sure it'd be like 80 or 100 bucks. But development on like the Roblox site is typically really, really cheap. So programmers are usually not cheap, but everything that has to do with building and modeling tends to be on the lower end. So as you can see, I have many files that I've imported to this game. Any techniques for lighting? I haven't really gotten into lighting, but as of late, Roblox has improved their lighting system. So here we can see the lighting feature here. And here you've got the properties of the lighting. You can set the brightness if you wanted this map to be a little bit brighter. You can increase the brightness. Here you can change the color shifts, how much the environment diffuses, so like the shininess of things. And you can also set like the skybox and the atmosphere. So if I were to delete this, the sky would change. Boom. There's not really a haze here. Not really a blur. And so as you can see, the game has a completely different look because of the lighting. When you hire people through their website, what percentage do they take? Okay, so hiring people through Roblox is kind of dependent on the person. So you can see this person, he doesn't really have anything on here. So you can offer them percentages or USD or just like flat fees for whatever service you want them to provide. So for my developers, I pay them in USD. So every time they make me a product, we negotiate on a price, and then I pay them, and then they send me the file. That's pretty much how it works. So if you were wanting someone long term on like a development team, you would probably pay them in percentages, unless you negotiated something else. So pretty much they just take a flat percentage from your game's revenue, and that's how you pay them. What inspired me to make this game? Honestly, I have no idea. I quit Roblox like, oh, I just died again. I quit Roblox like 2 years ago, and I only recently came back for honestly no reason. And I guess I just made this game. I actually specialize in more sci-fi building, so this has been like my first fantasy-oriented build. Latency is a big issue, so it can be scripted, like fixed through scripts if you're really good at it, but typically like bigger servers just are laggier. Hit detection is weird, as you can see right there. Any other questions? You guys want to see me like build something? Build something? Okay. We can take this house for an example, I guess. So once you get the hang of it, you can build things like really fast in Roblox. Which is why I prefer it. I know you can do that sort of thing in Blender as well, but I don't really have the time to learn a new programming thing or program, whatever. Ray tracing at some point. Actually, I'm not sure if there will be ray tracing. They're coming out with more realistic looking lightings as of late, like Future, which is definitely has a lot more realism to it. But the things with these lightings is that they're harder on your system, and since Roblox is geared towards like lower spec computers, like having better lighting isn't really recommended. Like just staying with their typical lighting is probably the best bet. So if I were to make like a small little house, start with the walls. Leave room for door. I'm gonna make the door frame. With wood. And we're going to use a plugin. So plugins are actually really helpful for building, because if you wanted to make this curved or anything, you can just literally use the plugin for it. It'll just do it for you. So it's pretty simple like that. Boom, got a door frame. If you wanted to make it wider, you can do that. Like that. What do you mean, how do you do stuff like complex buildings? Like this? This building, or... Like this building? Okay, so Roblox has a variety of different parts. So you have wedges and things. And I think this building isn't that complex. It's just, I don't know, different, I suppose. Honestly, the most over-the-top feature about it is the shingles. At one point in my game, we had like 50,000 shingle parts, and I ended up having to mesh them in Blender. So this is literally just like one part here. It's meshed to reduce triangle counts, though. I'm actually not sure if it does decrease triangle parts, but it definitely decreases a part count, which is still better for your performance. Can I make a basement? I guess I could turn this into a basement. if I really wanted to. More curved parts like cylinders are harder on the system because they have more triangles. So that's why, like, with this clothing, ruffling it increases the triangle count than just having it flat. This is kind of my asset graveyard where I put everything before I insert in my actual game. So, kind of just really full of everything. Yes, this is a giant frying pan. We have a frying pan in the game. I don't know why, but it was like a heavily requested item. So literally, you can just smack people with a frying game in my frying pan in my fantasy game, and it'll just make people sit. It's actually kind of funny. Here, I'll show you something. There. Boom. Sits. It's actually kind of funny. Upgrade into a walk for extra damage. Honestly, maybe. Could do that. So, when making a doorway like this, you're going to want to use the wedge parts to fill in the gaps in the curves. Because if you use other parts, you're kind of just increasing the part count for no reason when you use wedges. Boom, you have got a door frame. Pretty simple in that regard. Make a comically large spoon. Okay, so things like spoons, they're a little bit harder to make in Studio because of the curved edge. And Roblox doesn't have anything really that like allows you to use it. They have got a sphere, and that's literally it. So there's really nothing you can do in that regard. So if you wanted to add detail to the house, like some foundation, you could do that. Slate at the bottom. But building is honestly, could I negate a smaller sphere inside a bigger sphere? Yes, I could actually. Yeah. But like this. Boom. To make a spoon, it's a little bit harder. I think there are some mesh parts here. Because this, you can't really size this the way you want it to. But if you added a sphere mesh from the toolbox, oh, yeah, I think I completely skipped over this. Roblox has like a kind of an open source library with a bunch of models in it. And you can pretty much just use these models if you want. Probably recommend not to though, because a lot of them contain like malicious scripts. Let's see if I can do. I don't even know if solid modeling will do this. It does. Oh yeah. This looks so bad, but oh man. Boom. Fast spoon. Easy. Yeah. Coloration is often really weird for a union because of just how they're structured. I could make a weapon spoon in the game, but honestly, I feel like the pan is already a little bit much. Yeah. The game is actually really fun because we have a lot of meme weapons, like this hammer. Hold on. Oh yeah. And pretty much just one-shots people. People don't really use it though, so. This is the folder that I store all my icons in. Since we're going to be overhauling our game soon, we redid all the icons. It's going to be a lot of work. Do I have a code that kills everyone on the server? No, I do not. So, in games like this, you typically have like an admin script, and you can add whatever commands you want to the admin script, you know, if you script it. And this one just kind of has the bare minimum, you know, like teleport, message, teaming people, stuff like that. That's pretty much the bare minimum this game. We do have a jail script on this game, which is really fun. This would be the admin script. So here, you can see you add the player ID of the character you want to be an admin, and that'll enable them to have like those admin powers in the script down here, which is, yeah. And your player ID can be seen right here, which is where you can grab it. This is actually the role-playing group that I had here. It's pretty big. We have like 1,100 people in our Discord server. Yeah, I think I'm nearing the end of my time. Do you guys have any other last questions before? Can I make a magic 8-ball? Probably not, no. I think that's beyond my capabilities with spheres. I don't really work with circles at all. It's not really my expertise. Is there voice acting for RPG worlds? Yeah, sound design is an aspect of Roblox. So if you wanted to add like voice acting to certain like effects, you could add that to your Roblox game, but obviously you'd have to find a voice actor for it. It's honestly not usually worth the trouble. I can grab an 8-ball from the toolbox. Boom. Easy. Look at that. Now magic it? I can't magic. So sorry. I'm actually really new to like visual effects. These are just some things that I've done. Kind of cool. Probably be using for other things later on. This is a tavern I made a few days ago. It took me around 3 hours, I think. And out of tavern, I agree. I completely agree. Can I launch someone into the sun? Okay, hold on. I kind of can launch someone into the sun. It's a little complicated, actually. Let me make my way. Oh, looks like they're hosting over there. Alright. This guy's a royal guard in this community, and I'm going to use him as my test subject. It'll be a lot of fun. Do you guys have any other questions about Roblox or development or how things work? Terrain out of official Roblox terrain is actually what I prefer, because out of parts, it just adds more triangles, and like it doesn't look as good. So I guess it depends on what you're looking for, but Roblox terrain is typically the better way to go. The learning curve for building something decent. Honestly, you can probably pick up building in a couple hours. Like, obviously, complex structures like what I have here, a little bit harder. But if you were to make just like a simple house, you could probably do it in a couple of hours, just for building itself. It takes a while to get used to the program, but once you do, it goes really fast, as you can see. Building the complex structures is just essentially adding more detail to the buildings. So you pretty much just make a square, and then you just, or a box, and then you just add more detail to that said box. Hold on. So I can pretty much just fling people doing this. Like, you don't typically, I don't know, do things like this in a game. The Roblox engine, I would say, is significantly easier to use than the Unreal Engine. Like, you move in the workspace using WASD, you can right-click to turn your camera, you can zoom to move faster, stuff like that. It's really easy to move around in the Roblox workspace. But going back to your complex structures question, these, you pretty much just add detail to the structures, yeah. So without the shingles, it looks like this. You just, curve your roofs. You add more detail here by rotating the parts. And so without all this detail, it looks kind of like just a more normal structure. So it's pretty easy to detail buildings once you get the hang of the actual program itself. Any other questions?
Thanks a lot, man. We are basically out of time, so everyone please give a big round of applause for the Roblox master himself coming out and giving a talk to you guys. Seriously, though, I really appreciate it. Yeah, and we do teach game development here at Clovis Community College. I don't teach Roblox. It's just never something that's really been on my radar. But I just looking at it, I see a lot of parallels with Unreal Engine, like how you can set the diffuse and specular levels and texturing and the constructive solid geometry, like a lot of these things, moving, rotating, scaling. That's all very. Yeah, click on one of the objects. Yeah, so you got colors, you got materials, you've got the touch, and the ability to collide and touch and all that stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of parallels between that and Unreal Engine, which is what we use in our game development program.
I would say it's really good for team collaboration as well.
Nice.
Because I can literally work in tandem with someone else on this game at the same time, and we don't have to file share or anything. We just have the same time.
Yeah, that's a big advantage. Roblox has, as my IS50B students can tell you this semester, trying to get people to to work on the same project is painful on Unreal Engine.
Stephanie
So.
told me that there were some issues with file sharing.
Yeah, it's like I had to push 100 gigs out to, and then she had to download 100, and all I needed from her was like a splash screen. You know what I mean? Like, like it was easier for her to just email it to me. So I could put it up in the game jam that we did. It's that's a really nice tool. I am a little bit concerned about their 80% cut when Unreal Engine takes 5. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's like wow.
Yeah, they actually take. Well, it's not quite 80%, or maybe it is. I don't know, but it's okay since Roblox kind of pads it a little bit with premium payouts. So if your game is popular, you're just going to be getting revenue for no reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's still, I mean, that's just a giant fraction they take for doing essentially the same thing as UE4 with a lot of nice. I mean, I will say there's a lot of nice things that I'm seeing here. I ended up not going out to get an apricot tree. I bought it online. Who knew the internet could do that? Free delivery too on an apricot tree. Like cool. Wow. I'm just a little bit worried that it's kind of exploitative of
the developers.
Yeah, and that's basically the only downside. Everything else I saw there, I was very impressed, and I want to commend you on doing a really good job on this world you made. It's very impressive.
Thank you.
Cool. You would definitely get an A in my class for doing that. Yeah, apricot trees. Yeah, Blenheim apricots. $40 for a new tree. Okay, so anyhow, that's it. Everyone, again, please, big round of applause, and we will see you all next time in the next ACM workshop. Thanks a lot.
Right, thanks for having me.
Peace out. Bye.
See you guys.